Hi, welcome back to Cartoon Conversations with Jim Bridges and
Tom Rayner.
Yeah, and this is the 4th issue, and let's get into it.
Okay, what do we got here? We've got the Honourable Simon Birmingham. No one wants to talk to him.
He's the Australian Trade Minister.
Yes. And Australia and China have a little disagreement at the moment. And he's trying to, sort of negotiate with his counterpart in China. And they just don't want to talk to him.
It's interesting how the speech balloon is yellow. Is that a sort of Chinese thing? And the other thing, it's very it's a really good caricature by Joanne Leake of the Australian.
Johannes Leake, he's done a really good one.
Yeah,
Nicely done, actually. Okay, now we have Warren Brown from the Daily Telegraph, and he's drawn Scott Morrison and Jinping
having their yum cha.
Yeah.
And they've got to the fortune
cookie stage.
And it's how the fortune cookie crumbles.
Yeah.
That's a nice portrait of the Chinese
leader.
Yeah, I like it.
Yes.
I like it.
And he's got these typical barman in the background.
Yeah, he looks like Frankenstein.
Yeah, very stern-looking fellas, aren't they?
Yeah.
And the colours, rich colours. Okay, David Rowe.
Of the Australian Financial Review. Right, let's press the button.
Fields of Barley. Scott Morrison, Simon Birmingham. Unfortunately, I don't know who's in the background there. And the farmer standing in his fields
of barley.
And we got the Chinooks.
Yeah.
And the dragons playing out in the up in the sky. Trump.
Pigs will fly.
Yeah.
And
dragons
look,
fly.
Look at the pig with wings on the car boot on the car bonnet.
Yes.
And also, it's interesting because obviously, this is how a cartoon works out his ideas. Barley. How the hell am I going to do something about barley? And then this song pops into his head. It's all there, It's all there. Cartoonists tend to ransack the public consciousness. So what's next, Tom?
Okay, we've got Craig Mann from the Gold Coast Bulletin. And this don't look like Yamcha.
Yeah, look at that table. Oh, God, look at that. Oh.
You'd need a cast iron stomach to eat that lot.
Oh, yeah.
And, of course, they don't want to iron ore because they've got enough cast iron stomachs. Okay,
it's got a yuck factor, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I like his eyes. See little dots there, little inscrutable eyes he's got, You can tell it's from a Queensland cartoonist culture.
Yeah, predominantly.
They all look cane toadish.
Yeah. Okay, Mark Knight, he's given
of the Herald Sun.
Mysterious crop circles appear.
Yes.
So,
it's interesting because all the cartoonists, you see, the most symbolic symbol in the world is the circle. It's also the most used and oldest. And here he's used it with the
so he's using that to symbolise that the barley trades.
Yeah, they woke up and there's this foreign thing
invasion of it.
That's right, and smack in the middle of my barley crop.
Totally ruined it.
And it's just a great metaphor.
Yeah.
He's put a whole bunch of things together and it's great. Yeah.
Okay, Warren Brown.
At the best of Warren from the Daily Telegraph, he's obviously on leave, and so
they may be banning iron ore and beef, but what about the baby formula?
And together we'll be smuggling white powder from Australia all around the globe.
Well, if the students stop coming, they may stop it because a lot of students earn their money from exporting
Okay.
baby formula back to China.
Okay. And there was something in the paper about there was a gang that were actually...
Yeah, who were actually printing this stuff. They were trying to get it on wholesale routes.
Yeah, well, they're not Chinese gangsters, are they?
No, well, the guy down the far end on the left-hand side.
No, I used to look like that when I had a ponytail.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
He could be working for advertising, that guy. You know.
Okay.
David Pope of the Canberra Times. Good old David Pope. He's always got lots of stuff to look at in his cartoons.
So why is...
Well, they're having a World Health Assembly on Skype, and what he's saying is we'll need a triage the agenda to stop the Taiwan democracy virus, which has got nothing to do with the COVID virus. And, of course, on the other side of the political divide in America, he's got his mask hanging around his Tijuana brass, you know.
Yeah,
blame
Trump's
China.
way is just blame China for it all.
Yeah, and of course...
He doesn't care if they're responsible or not, and because he's in such a mess.
And look at all the other countries just looking on from Africa and looks like it's England and, you know, different
Europe,
countries.
yeah, they probably can't believe it. You know?
They just can't believe their eyes.
These two have got other agendas, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Johannes Leek, again from the Australian. So the Victorian government is playing a dangerous game with the Belt and Road Initiative, which is going to be signed this week sometime.
Yes, it was actually, Dan says the deal's about Victorian jobs.
Yeah, 10,000 jobs. But, I mean, the Americans are now complaining about it, you know, and of course...
They actually withdrew from that.
Did they?
They backed off from that, and they said they were just
Testing
commenting on a hypothetical question.
Well, that's good.
I think it was a deliberate slip of tongue to say, it's a bit like China saying, oh, we're going to ban this.
Yeah.
America's probably thought, well, if we threaten them, you know.
Well, also, Dan seems to be doing the best out of all the premiers during this COVID-19 thing. And as a premier, he's doing, I mean, they're building everything in the state, as anybody who lives here knows, because every time you go down to any road, any direction, you stop because they're building something there, you know. So maybe it's a unified attack on Victoria from all the liberal states.
Well, yeah, because if they sign this up, there could be, you know, I'm not sure what the Chinese want to build in Victoria. Or is it the financing?
Well, I don't particularly like the decor if everything inside is red.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, Mark Knight is the Herald Sun.
Renovation of Spring Street.
Yeah. And, of course, look at that roof. And they're both wearing Mao Zedong gear.
Well, you take Bendigo, you know, they have the Chinese museum there, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a great tourist attraction.
Yeah.
So maybe we turn Spring Street into...
China is, the pub dog, the little pub, the pig dog is saying China's buying our pollies instead of our barley.
Yeah.
Yeah. The media continually ask us to reveal what's our secret. What's that?
Okay, Dan Andrews again, The Belton Road by John Spooner.
At the Australian?
Yes. And, of course, they're blaming the Morrison government for triggering tariffs.
Belt and ruin. What's the ruin, Tom?
Well, I'm not sure. Maybe...
what's the big deal?
Builds a wind power, you know?
Well, right down the bottom, it's made in China. So, you know, so as long as they lend us money to buy the stuff they make with it.
Well, Victoria would do better, like Queensland does well with solar power. I think Victoria would do well with wind power.
Well, we get a lot of wind. We get a lot of wind from politicians as well.
A lot of hot air, yes.
And what about the birds? All the dead birds.
Well, yeah, they, you know, there's a tendency, or it's claimed, that they fly into the.
Do you think they fly into the blades, or there's some sort of story about the noise? Because people who live near them claim all sorts of health problems.
But then, see, birds have been flying into these skyscrapers.
Yeah, and do you notice? This is a little tiny detail, but it's very interesting. Whenever the Liberals are done by anybody, they're all got blue ties.
Yes.
But you see, our mate Dan Andrews has a red tie.
Well, I think of that to try and symbolise their socialist leanings. And it's all batshit according to Mac Golding.
It's just a gag cartoon.
Yeah.
That is sort of very funny, I thought, to turn the thing upside down. And, of course, I like the fact that all the batshit's landing on the newspapers.
Yes.
Yeah.
In other words, the news is full of batshit. Okay, Scott Morrison, first anniversary of his election win. He's enjoying a wave of popularity at the moment after his roasting by people over the bushfires. So he's not celebrating too much. We'll save it for later.
I think that it's a good idea too, because and also he's church.
It makes
he's
him look
Churchill.
more, how you'd say, he's not sort of leaning back and saying, I've done this and
I can't afford to relax now. But also he's Churchill, and he's
showing a bit of maturity actually compared to, the flack that he got when during the bushfire season.
As mature as Churchill?
No.
In the war room?
No, I don't think so.
I like the microphone.
But he has
on the
done well. He's done well. I think he's gained a lot of popularity or respect with his actions over the COVID-19.
Okay. And look at that map on the wall.
Yeah.
Snapback economics. Are you sure this is okay? Says the Prime Minister dressed as Crocodile Dundee as he puts the Australian manufacturing saddle on the back of a crocodile.
Well, I think it's doomed. Australian manufacturing is going to be doomed by a high energy cost. Yeah. Unless we can, get a concession on price and feed domestic markets.
I love the eye of the crocodile.
Yeah.
It's obviously...
it's got their eye on something.
I know, but it's wagging its tail, and it seems to be smiling. It seems to be smiling.
And
there's those little bits of water down there. Is that a comment on drought?
Drought could be the other thing.
Nice colours.
Yes. Okay, Frydenberg, Treasurer of Australia, the biggest faux pas. And mind you, it could be said it's treasuries. I think there was a quote.
Well, Mark Knight's put him in hospital, and you notice he's not using the machine to keep his lungs going. There's stacks of them.
Yes, he doesn't need the respirator.
No. And he was...
See, the government after tell...
He was economically plain... What do they call that? Plain lining? What do they call it? Flatlining.
Yeah.
And hang on, we have a heartbeat because they've buggered it up. And
so you have to tell them the impact of the 130 billion JobKeeper package. And supposedly keeping about 6.5 million Australians connected to their employers while providing them with a livable pay. Federal government has acknowledged that its figures were massively overstated.
Well, historically, it's the biggest balls up economically ever happened, isn't it, in this country?
Well, yeah.
And now they're saying, look at all the money we saved.
It's giving them a way out, It's that, it was
it's better than taking out hydroxy stuff, isn't it? It's the big dog.
Wow, that's right. And Josh, they just looked behind the couch.
John Kadelka in the Hobart Mercury.
Yeah.
He always has it simple, but it's always funny. This guy's always funny.
Yeah, so obviously, symbolically, I think Josh has checked the figures, Treasury's forward figures, and realised it was... and they're blaming employers for putting down the wrong amount.
Yeah, let's get stuck in the public servants. Well,
Why
There's a
not?
few of them left, isn't there?
Yeah. And they're in for a pay increase, so maybe this is a good reason to, see if they haven't overestimated that too. Okay, David Pope, Canberra Times.
Another rip in the social fabric.
Well, according to Trump, we've got to make sacrifices for the good of the economy.
So that's a quote, is it?
Yeah.
And the rip in the underpants is Target going down the gurgler.
Yeah, or businesses being, sort of victims of the recession.
And of course, you've got the consumers up the top and the ones in the bottom, and the ones in the bottom are in the shade, definitely in the shade.
Well, the demise of Target is going to affect the middle class buyer more than it is the upper class buyers who go to more boutique shops and stuff like that.
We won't be able to say Target anymore, Tom.
No, the House of Target.
Oh.
It'll be the house of the big W.
The recession.
Yes.
Well, that's an interesting place to put it, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. We're getting the arse in.
David Pope's stuff looks very slick, but it kicks like a mule.
Yep. This is a gag cartoon.
Actually, I had a look later on, and this is only part of it because that's what he does on Instagram. He shows a part of it, and then because that's an 8-panelled cartoon, that's only a section of it. But I mean, you can get the gist of what he's trying to say.
We'd be here all night if we went through 8 panels.
Oh yeah, but he's a great cartoonist.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh.
Donald Trump has defended taking hydroxy. I can't say it, but the hydroxy.
Hydroxy sounds good.
Yeah.
Hydroxy, yeah.
And I actually read today that he's finished the course now.
Is he?
I wonder if he should stop taking it because there's been so much comment on
Go
it.
the course.
Yes.
Well, I read last week that a woman who's been on it for 18 months because she has lupus got COVID-19 anyway. So I don't know. She survived it, so who knows? And that's Matt Golding the Age.
Yeah, pretty good.
And another Matt Golding the Age.
And this is from the letter section.
Yeah. And
someone's just commented on the fact that...
well, they've invented a new word.
Yeah.
Instead of
presenteeism.
Yeah. Showing up for work and putting other people's health at risk.
Absenteeism. This has been presidenteeism.
Yeah, but he's turning up for work
and
guzzling his hydroxy as people are dying all around him.
Well, maybe that's bleach. He did suggest,
No, it's tablets. Tablets.
So I get that now. That's, absenteeism. Telling you if you feel sick, stay home. Well, he's saying presenteeism is be at work. Just take hydroxy. Okay, that kind of works.
Mark Knight at the Herald Sun. Donald Trump has defended taking hydroxy.
Yeah.
And this is the COVID-19 medicine research testing lab.
This stuff is great.
Yeah, take it from me, guys. And, of course, look at his tie.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I've seen all sorts of people draw him. Mark Knight's drawn him as the backside of a horse and all sorts of stuff. And he still looks like Trump, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, look at those other characters in the background.
It's a hairstyle. It's a haircut.
Yeah, but look at those other characters in the back. It's also got to do with the colour on his face too,
Yeah. Oh, that's the tannin lotion he puts on every morning.
Oh, it was. Oh, God. I thought it was his charisma.
Yeah. Okay, this is the International Pandemic Cooperation.
Yeah, David Pope of the Canberra Times. Now,
so we've got China, the EU, and all others here all cooperating, going to have the inquiry, but on China's terms.
That's right, and they're going through the field of barley with the World Health Organization as a donkey, and look who's got the reins. It's China.
Yeah.
And coming up the rear, riding on our Prime Minister, the donkey.
I love the way David Pope does Scott.
Well, he's turned him in Krusty the Clown sort of figure half the time. And, of course, he's swallowing his tablets, and the drug is IP, that's intellectual property. And there's all these stories about how Trump
the World
has
Health
all these...
Organization wants him to, if anyone comes up with the vaccine, to share it.
Yeah.
But then Trump has been saying, if we develop one, we get it first.
But also there's all these stories about he's got lots of money invested in it.
In that drug.
Yeah. And, of course, look at the hot sun as they go in the hot sun.
Love that one.
Yeah.
It looks hot, doesn't it?
I like the bucket hanging off the back.
Yeah.
It's got gravitas, this cartoon.
And that patent override,
that's hinting at it too, isn't it?
Yes. And you got your researchers and all your medical.
Can you believe we're still saddled with these losers, is what he's saying.
Yeah. In other words, he doesn't really want to be part of the cooperation.
No, but he's hanging around at the back just to pick up the crumbs. That's right.
And meanwhile, we're struggling with barley. And Alan Moore, Sydney Morning Herald.
After the Monty Python, mean.
He's just come back.
Come back here, you yellow bastards. I'll bite your legs off. It's only a flesh wound, that's right.
Because Americans wanted to be
the Donald.
Highest amount of casualties.
The Donald.
And Glenn Levere, give my conversation life.
I'm pretty sure that he's sitting there trying to think, where's the next bloody cartoon going to come from? What am I going to do? Well, I need a good metaphor. I've got to get a gag, and then he's looking at the speech balloon and thinking, well, let's give it life. Let's give it life. And then that idea, everything comes around, all that wonderful gear from the Frankenstein movie, the 30s.
Breathe life into
30s technology.
Cartoon,
30s
well, that's what a cartoonist does, doesn't he? He brings a cartoon to life by what the metaphors and stuff like that. Metaphors.
Danger, men at pause. Okay.
Just pausing for a moment.
John Farmer, whose nickname is Polly, after the footballer, Hobart Mercury. Now, the Victoria Cross Tasmanian war hero, he's not been this guy. A lot of people want him to get the VC, but the government's holding back for some reason. And it's becoming a real big issue in Tasmania because, they always feel left out.
Yeah, Edward Teddy Sheehan.
Yeah.
28th, he was born 1923, died 1942. And he was a sailor in the Royal Australian Navy during the Second World War.
And he strapped himself to the gun. I think they were sinking, weren't they?
Yeah, the boat was sinking.
He strapped himself to the gun because he knew he was going to get killed, and he wanted to keep fighting and get as many of these planes as possible, which were strafing the thing. And he was 18, was he?
Yeah.
And
but the fact
it's also in a painting.
Yeah.
And it's in the people's consciousness.
And the fact that they've made an application to have the Victoria Cross, so they present it to him posthumously, but the government has rejected it.
Well, because it's not going through.
Well, they said insufficient, not enough compelling evidence. What more evidence do you need?
Got to count the bullet holes, or what sort of evidence they want?
That's what I mean. I didn't get that one. And John Kadalki,
he's angry.
Also brought up this
he's angry.
Yeah.
Because, he goes for the joke. The Victoria Cross.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he's saying, they refusing to award a Victoria Cross in the face of overwhelming evidence.
And look how he's got the cross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, obvious differences of opinion on this one. And if you want to know more, there's quite a few articles out there.
If you're still awake, you're still awake with the show, you can pause this and read the rest. But there's the dramatic painting.
Yeah.
Because he strapped himself to it because he knew that he could be more effective in his death.
Yeah.
And probably get more planes. Yeah.
Brave guy.
But they haven't really given a reason, have they?
No.
Sounds like it's all red tape.
Okay, Simon Lee.
In the Sydney Morning Herald. And look at that COVID-19 vaccine lab. Look at their enthusiasm.
Activity.
Yeah, and even the rabbits are happy, aren't they?
And he's implying that, we've listened to expert advice on the COVID, on the virus, but
not on climate.
No, we tend to ignore expert advice and have different opinions.
And he's waiting for the phone to ring, and of course it's not going to ring.
No one's ringing now.
And CO2 equals death, and I love the death. The death is not scary. It's almost like surprised.
Yes.
And Joe Benke of the Sydney Morning Herald. The Queensland Premier is a lollipop lady.
And she's saying, until Queensland Chief Health Officer Dr. Jeanette Young gives a green light, the state's borders will remain closed to interstate visitors without an entry pass. And she's copping a lot of flack from New South Wales and the federal government.
But when the lollipop lady says stop, you got to stop.
Yeah. This one by Johannes Leek.
Yeah, the Australian. I really like this cartoon.
He's done a good. He's taken the metaphor of the Walking Dead.
Yeah, the 28 Days Later film, and of course all the grey
nomads are lining up trying to get into Queensland.
Vroom, 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 and there she is. It's like the Alamo Fort, and look at those sharpened spikes sticking out with red all over them, then the tips and stuff.
Yeah, and you've got all the hospitality, the tourism,
the pubs, the Great Barrier Reef tours.
Yeah,
and they're all
trying to ban for blood also.
Yeah, and they're just zombies.
Open it up.
And she's saying, who's the woman who's the
Jeanette Young.
Yeah, she's the health
chief health.
Yeah, and she's blood splattered because it's a great fight, Just 2 full incubation
they want to wait
periods.
For 2,
just 2 full incubation periods, and then we're in the clear.
Yes, but everyone's impatient, can't do it.
I really like this cartoon because it's very messy, and it's very unlike what
it looks bloody.
Yeah, but it's very messy, and it's very unlike what Johannes normally does. I really like it.
No, he's done really good on that one.
Yeah.
And seeing Larry, the Courier Mail. Sean, is making the metaphor of the Trump's wall.
Yeah, we know you call us Mexicans, but this is ridiculous because the Americans, they have the deep south and Australians have the deep north. Yeah. And, of course, everybody wants to go to Queensland for the tropical sun and all that stuff.
And they don't want to let them in.
Yeah, New South Wales and Vic keep out. You notice that? And Vic keep out.
I do think Victoria's not complaining so much because it's got closed borders.
But it's a very inefficient way to build a wall, don't you think? It should be straight.
Okay. And, of course, we've got Pauline Hanson and Peter Dutton.
PD. I thought it meant police department. David Rowe, the Financial Review, always has a dark, apocalyptic view. And I think Pauline Hanson has, isn't she going to sue the Commonwealth?
She's threatening to get a constitutional lawyer because she says it's not constitutional that they're keeping the border closed.
Yeah, and look at the pigs flies on the front of the car again in another cartoon. And look at the it's not the Speedo. What is it? It's
there's very Trumpish looking.
Yeah, but it's a symbol of the COVID-19 on the car.
Yeah,
and look at the road. Look at the road in the rearview mirror and the road that goes ahead. Yeah. The line in the middle of the road's going all over the place. Yeah, it's quite dark, that cartoon.
Okay, on a totally different subject, we've got Tim Smith.
Yeah, Matt Golding, The Age. And there's a quote here, stupid is as stupid does. and he's actually saying some really aggressive, ridiculous things about Dan Andrews. But I personally think they've done a backroom deal. They've got him as the junkyard dog set on Dan Andrews.
He's saying he's doing his job as an opposition frontbencher.
Yeah, but there are people on his side of the fence who are,
have a negative view of what he's doing.
Yeah, that's right.
They don't. I think the pollsters also said it's not a smart move.
No,
because it puts the opposition in a bad light.
I know, but I don't think it could be that dumb, personally. I think they say, well, look, if you do this job for us now, later on there'll be something for you. But I love the way he's turned it around.
Well, I think there's
he's turned him into a virus.
Yeah, he's got aspirations to be the party leader in Victoria.
But because the opposition has disappeared with all this building going on, But I love his haircut, don't you? It's great.
And they'll be here too.
Matt Golding again in the Age. Now, this is interesting because everybody knows this who lives in Melbourne, but there's this painting called Chloe. And let's read it out. It's a 260 by 135 centimetre oil canvas painting of the young Parisian girl, French figure painter Jules Joseph Lefebvre, made in 1875. It was located downstairs in the bar of Young and Jackson, but of course so much hoo-ha with people would come in who wouldn't drink beer, but they were offended by it. They put it upstairs. And it's been there since 1909. And she says if Dan reopens the pubs, I'll probably have to put some clothes on. But what's the background of this again?
Yeah, there's a little subset to this. It's been reported that a lot of people during the lockdown have been just wandering around nude at home.
Well, why not,
Yeah. And this is what it's sort of implied here, but if they're going to let people in, open the pubs, put some clothes on.
Yeah, but Matt Golding is illustrating the letter that someone has written about the Victorian way, meaning we're going back in time and all that sort of stuff, making sound judgments in the Victorian way. So it's got a lot of meaning.
Well, that could be applied to the real pandemic we had.
The first one?
Yes.
Okay. Those were the days.
They actually set the agenda for this one because they laid down a whole lot of rules and we should follow and if there was another pandemic.
I did a bit of research. They had a lot of mask cartoons.
Yeah.
Like there's a bloke about to break into a place and he looks in the window and there's a woman with a mask and he says, I'm too late. Someone's beat me to it.
Okay, that's all for this week.
Okay, well, if you've got any suggestions, send them our way.
Leave a comment down below.
That's right, and subscribe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from him.